Hi everyone and welcome to this week's Quick Fix. So this week on YouTube I've been painting in a really translucent style, a very pale, delicate approach to watercolour that in itself creates really beautiful effects. So you can see that when a very translucent colour dries, you get these crisp, stronger edges where the colour floods to the edge of the piece. You can see there and here and there, and I want to just go over the basics of it because I imagine some of you are wondering how on earth we achieve that. So let's just go really back to basics. First thing we're going to do is we're going to just paint a nice strong circle of colour on the page. I've chosen permanent rose. So I've got a circle here, I fill it in, it's nice and bright and bold. Now I'm going to clean my brush off entirely. And now with that wet brush, I am going to paint a circle right next to it. I've done this quite quickly so that the paint hasn't dried yet completely on the page. And I can pick up some good pigment from that first circle. So you see how the edges overlapped. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush off once again and I am going to paint another circle, fill it in. Okay, this is now getting a bit more difficult to see, and that is because the colour is becoming more and more translucent, but there still is a tiny bit of colour. If I clean my brush off and try one more time, then we're probably going to have no luck and really struggle to see anything whilst it's wet. So that is a really useful exercise for you to see just how you can make colour travel from really bold and bright into pale into almost invisible. However, the really important thing about this is once the colour has dried on the page and how we see it. So we're just going to let this dry 100% and come back and look at it. Now the page has dried 100%, and what will happen here is that you get a slight dulling down of the really bold colour, and then you get a crisping up of the translucent edges. Now I'm sure this one is still very difficult to see, but if we can zoom in and see, there are these lovely crisp edges that are very faint, but they are there. And so if I now paint a nice petal, really translucent, so lots of water, very dilute. Okay, it's pale, there's not a lot of colour on there, but we can see it. However, if we wanted to add just a little bit of interest to that, and maybe I'll pop in a bit of orange just down at the base here. Whoops, there we go. Blend that in a bit, maybe blend it in at the top as well. What will happen is, because we're painting in a really translucent manner, we're able to put in just a soft bit of colour and everything is quite dilute and it's all just starting to softly blend into one another, but it's also really hugging the edges. If I do another one, or maybe do a slightly like wetter petal, so more water. So that's quite a lot of water there. A slightly dangerous amount, you could say. Let me get even more. So more water than really we should have on the page there. If I paint in my orange, it's going to struggle. Hang on. My orange has dried itself up. It is a warm day, isn't it? I'm going to struggle to get it quite so subtly done as that, because we've got too much water in there, which means that if I sort of move the page about, it's probably not really going to be visible, but there's so much water there that although it's nice and translucent like the pink there, there's so much water that the orange is sort of almost floating in the water. It's not settled down into the piece, found the page and created this beautiful crisp edge. So when you are painting translucent pieces just like these, and you can see the lovely crisp edges we've got here, and that is exactly what I've shown you there. The really important thing is to be, whilst you're using water, you are also working quite swiftly so that you can drop in your colours. I mean, go back and watch this tutorial because you'll see it all happening in front of you. But the translucent technique is most successful when we paint with water, but not so much that it puddles and blooms and there's too much going on. So I really hope this is a helpful tip if you want to try out Thursday's tutorial, or of course Tuesdays with the lovely daffodils. But thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.